Tadparam paryaya vidmahe jnanalingeshwaraya dhimahi tanno guruhu prachodayate om. Om Yoga Maharshi Dr. Swami Geetananda Giri Guru Maharaj Ki Jai. Om Yogacharini Puduvai Kalaimamani Puduvai Shakti Ammaji Meenakshi Devi Bhavanani Guru Mata Ki Jai. Om Namaste, Vanakkam, Swagatam, Suprapad, Buongiorno, Buonasera, Buonanotte, Huya Mure, Boreida, Kiyo Ora, Salamat Pagi, Ayubovan. Welcome. Session 72 of Scintillating Saturdays, where we come together looking at so many aspects of this wonderful art and science, a practical philosophy, a practical psychology, a practical spirituality called yoga. This morning, as you can see, I'm inside because it's raining outside and gives me a chance to go a bit deeper inside. Not only coming inside physically, but also going deeper inside. As we address the question of the day, what is Ishwara Pranidhana? Ishwara Pranidhana is traditionally taught to be surrender to Ishwara. And everybody gets a bit uptight when you use the word surrender because the word surrender has so much of negative connotation. You have lost, and so you have surrendered. You are not good enough, and so you have surrendered. And I think we need to be careful of the word surrender because it is quite loaded. The word surrender implies that you have not won. You are a loser. You are not good enough. You are inadequate. And hence, I feel that we need to look at few other words when we want to understand Ishwara Pranidhana. Because Ishwara Pranidhana is not surrender in the sense of losing, but it is surrender in the sense of giving over. It is the highest level of humility. It is the highest level of loving. It is the highest level of gratitude. Ishwara Pranidhana implies that we are grateful. We are grateful to the universe. We are grateful to life. We are grateful to the divine. And in that gratitude, we give over from that individual I can do it all to that beautiful moment. A moment where the transition occurs, the transcendence occurs. That moment where instead of saying, my will be done, we say, thy will be done. May your will manifest. May the divine plan manifest. And in that moment, it is the greatest moment of acceptance. It is a moment of acceptance. It is a moment of humility. It is a moment where you have given over your will to that of the highest divinity, the universe itself. When we talk of Ishwara Pranidhana, it is part of the Adhikara Yoga, which is consisting of Yama Niyama. It is the final component of the Niyamas, Saucha Santosha Tapa Swadhyaya Ishwara Pranidhana. And it is the final component of Kriya Yoga, of tapas swadhyaya Ishwara Pranidhanani Kriya Yoga. And Maharishi Patanjali, even in the Samadhi Pada, when he talks about Vitarka Vichara Sananda Sasmita Asmita Rupa Anugamat Samprajnataha, when he talks of the different levels of Samadhi, and then he goes on to tell us, you need to be a Tivra Samvegin to attain it. Otherwise, Mridu Madhya Adimatra, you have the different types of sadhakas. But then he gives us the clue even at that point. In the Samadhi Pada, verse 23 itself, he tells us, Ishwara Pranidhanadhva. Through Ishwara Pranidhana, you can manifest that highest state of Samadhi. This is in the Samadhi Pada itself. Later on in the Sadhana Pada, where he outlines what is the path of sadhana, what is the yoga sadhana we are to adopt for the sake of the highest state. Yoganga Anushtanat Ashuddhikshaye Jnana Deepti Aviveka Kyatehe. And then Yama Niyama Asana Pranayama Pratyahara Dharana Dhyana Samadhaya Ashtau Angani. That is the context in which he places it. Sadhana Pada. And in that he comes to the Niyama, talking about it as part of Ashtanga Yoga, in the context of Adhikara Yoga, Yama Niyama. In the context of Kriya Yoga. And at that point he tells us, when you manifest, when you embody Ishwara Pranidhana, when you embody Ishwara Pranidhana, Samadhi Siddhihi, you will be attaining that highest attainment of Samadhi itself. Through Ishwara Pranidhana, Samadhi Siddhihi Ishwara Pranidhanat. Through Ishwara Pranidhana, one attains the highest state of Samadhi Samadhi. So we have different angles when you think about this whole context. When you think of the different context here, you have one context where you have Samadhi as the eighth anga. Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi. So if just for the sake of, playing with it, 7 steps to Samadhi. Now they are not steps, they are angas, but just for the play. 7 steps to Samadhi is one angle. Then Maharishi Patanjali tells us, through Kriya Yoga, Tapas Swadhyaya Ishwara Pranidhana, you can also attain Samadhi. Because he has already said, why do you do Kriya Yoga? Why do you adopt Kriya Yoga in your life? Why do you manifest the sadhana of Kriya Yoga? Klesha Tanukarnartha and Samadhi Siddhihi. Samadhi Bhavanartha Klesha Tanukarnarthascha. For the sake of Samadhi Bhavana, to come into that attitude of the highest Samadhi, that state of the highest Samadhi, and to attenuate the Kleshas, Kriya Yoga exists. So 3 steps to Samadhi. Tapas Swadhyaya Ishwara Pranidhana to Samadhi. 7 steps to Samadhi. 3 steps to Samadhi. And then Patanjali says, for you lazy guys and girls out there, here is 1 step to Samadhi. He says 1 step to Samadhi. And what does he say? Samadhi Siddhihi Ishwara Pranidhanat. You say, wow, Dr. Ananda, thank you for that. So all I need to do is Ishwara Pranidhana and I get Samadhi. Yes, but terms and conditions apply. I sound like a marketing guy today. Terms and conditions apply. Because you know what? The shortcut is not always the easy way. And the shortest of shortcuts is never going to be the easy one, okay? Ishwara Pranidhana is not just going and saying, hey God, I'm here, now take care of me. Ishwara Pranidhana is the highest state where you can let go of your individual desire to do it all. I can do it. I can do it myself. I am capable of taking care of myself. I don't need anyone. All that I. We have to be able to give it over. Not easy at all. Not easy at all, because the kleshas that are so deep in us, avidya, smita, raga, dvesha, abhinivesha, are not going to let you give over. No. Sorry, but no. They're not going to let you give over, because they are so deeply ingrained in your primitive consciousness. They are not going to want to let you give over. And that is why, when we look at the context of Ishwara Pranidhana, we have to understand that it comes after you have made the effort. So it is not the lack of effort, but it is you have made the effort, and after making the effort, you have given over. That is why the phrase, do your best, leave the rest. The leave the rest comes after you have done your best, not before. You don't leave the rest at the beginning and say, okay, now I'm going to lie on the couch and let God take care of me for the rest of my life and lifetimes to come. We have to do our best first. That is why that equation, tapa and swadhyaya, precede Ishwara Pranidhana. Tapa and swadhyaya precede Ishwara Pranidhana, because you have to make that effort. Remember, we talked about chipping away. We have to keep on chip. We have to chip away the tapa. You have to know where you are chipping. Swadhyaya. And then after you have chipped away to the best of your ability, you just have to step back and say, may the universe bless me, and may I be worthy of those blessings. That is the moment Ishwara Pranidhana comes. The Shiva Purana, one of our Tamil scriptures, so beautifully tells us, Avan arulal avanthal vanangi. Avan arulal avanthal vanangi. Even to worship the divine, you need the grace of the divine. What a beautiful. And we think, I'm going to the temple. Hey God, you should be so, happy with me because I've come to worship you. How stupid we are at times. Worse than, children at least have innocence. We don't even have that anymore. Hey, you should be thankful to me. I'm coming to worship you. For God's sake, even the fact that you have the thought to worship God is because of the grace of God. Call it God, call it divine, call it universe, call it Mother Nature, call it intelligent design, call it whatever you want. There is some higher force. We all know that. We all feel that. There is something higher that we are searching for. There is something higher that we trust in. Not just the Bank of America, okay? There's something higher you trust in. There's something higher you are searching for. When you are in those depths of despair, you are seeking refuge in something. What is that? That is Ishwara. That which is beyond the beyond. That is subtler than the subtler. Om Vyom Vyomaya Vidmahi Sukshma Sukshmaya Dhimahi Tanno Sukshma Prachodayate. That which is Sukshma Sukshmaya, that which is Vyom Vyomaya, that is Ishwara. Namaste astu Bhagavan Vishveshwaraya Mahadevaya Triyambakaya Tripurantakaya Trikagnikalaya Kalagnirudraya Neelakanthaya Mrityunjayaya Sarveshwaraya Sadashivaya Shriman Mahadevaya Namaha. Ishanam Sarvavidhyanam Ishwara Sarvabhutanam Brahmadipati Brahmanodipati Brahma Shivo me astu sada shivoham. That which percolates everything. Isha vasyam midam sarvam. That which percolates everything. That which is everywhere. And that is why it is called omnipresent. Omnipresent. That which is the most powerful, omnipotent. Omnipresent, omnipotent. And it knows it all. Omniscience. Om, Om, Om. Omnipresent, omnipotent, omniscient, omnivorous. What a beautiful connection we are trying to reach when we connect to that Ishwara itself, which is there every place. Ishwara Sarvabhutanam. So Ishwara is not something different than us. Every one of us, Sarvabhutanam, is having that Ishwara principle in us. Because every being is potentially divine. Aham Brahmasmi. That Ishwara is a principle. The principle of pure consciousness that is manifesting through each and everything that is happening and each and every one who is breathing and living. That same pure consciousness, it's not just in me and not in you. It is not exclusive, it is inclusive. Ishwara is a principle of inclusiveness, and not just in our modern context, but all inclusive. All inclusive. That Ishwara is the Ishwara to which we have to give over. That Ishwara is the Ishwara whose will we need to accept with humility, gratitude. Because the moment we accept with gratitude and humility that Ishwara's will, we grow in consciousness, and suddenly our perspective and the perspective of Ishwara become one and the same. Suddenly we outgrow our limited, mundane, individualistic, dichotomous, pluralistic, fragmented perspective. And we go into that wholesomeness. We grow into a perspective that is all-inclusive. All-inclusive. And this is the whole goal of this whole process of moving towards Kaivalya. Because in Kaivalya, we, yes, you and me, well, all of us, in Kaivalya, we become Ishwara. I think this is the one of the greatest teachings of the Yoga Sutra. We don't become close to Ishwara. We don't become the ones chosen by Ishwara. We don't become the ones who can sit on the lap of Ishwara. We become Ishwara itself. Because we are not becoming something new. We are all Ishwara with amnesia. We are all the divine with amnesia. We have forgotten who we are. And so we identify with all this Tom, Dick and Harry nonsense that we identify with. I am Ananda, I am doctor, I am blah. In case you think I'm too serious about it. We identify with all this nonsense. We keep on adding junk after junk after junk. Gold-plated junk. Diamond-studded gold-plated junk. In trying to identify who we are. Forgetting that we are Ishwara. We are Ishwara. But then what's the difference between us and Ishwara? Patanjali gives us the clue. My dear Superman Pat, that time traveler, wow. The one who understood everything about human nature. He tells us, you are Ishwara, but you are contaminated. You are contaminated with two things. What are the contaminants? The contaminants are klesha and karma. We are Ishwara contaminated with klesha and karma. So what is Ishwara? The uncontaminated version of us. Ishwara plus klesha plus karma is equal to us. It's a very simple mathematical equation. Ishwara plus klesha plus karma is equal to me. So, me minus klesha minus karma, I once again become Ishwara. So, Ishwara Pranidhana is not just saying, oh, Ishwara, I love you a lot, I'll sing bhajans for you and I'll go and sit and worship you day and day, night. No, it means you are working towards eradicating klesha karma. That is the biggest Ishwara Pranidhana, is your self-effort to eradicate klesha karma, which are the contaminants. The contaminants that are preventing you from knowing yourself, man or woman, know yourself. And you realize through tapa what you need to cut away. What do you need to cut away? Klesha karma. What is Swadhyaya? Knowing where the klesha and karma is hiding in you, where you need to chip away. And then in that moment of that greatest self-effort, the Ishwara Pranidhana moment where klesha karma fall apart and Ishwara alone shines bright. When Patanjali talks of this, he tells us Ishwara is Vishesha Purusha. This is the basis on which I'm making all these funny statements that I'm making. My whole comedy show is based on what Maharishi Patanjali gives us, but in a way that I relate to, so that you can relate to it also. Don't take yourself too seriously. It's not worth it. People become dead serious, forgetting to be dead serious, you have to be dead. You want to be alive, be jovial and have the joviality of life. You don't have to be dead serious. Be life joyous. Life joyous. Too many people are dead serious. We need to focus on what Maharishi Patanjali tells us. He says, Ishwara, because he mentions Ishwara Pranidhana. He mentions Ishwara Pranidhana and then he says that Ishwara is a Vishesha Purusha. We are all Purusha. Sankhya talks of Purusha as pure consciousness. Sankhya talks of pure consciousness, that is Purusha getting caught up with Prakriti, and then the whole story starts of manifestation. All of us are Purusha. Then what is Ishwara? This is where the yogic concept is of Ishwara. Sankhya talks of Purusha. Yoga brings in the concept of a special Purusha who is Ishwara. Which is Ishwara? He, she, it. Klesha karma vipaka ashayai aparamashta purusha vishesha Ishwaraha. Klesha karma vipaka ashayai aparamashta purusha vishesha Ishwaraha. So Ishwara is a Purusha like you, me, all of us. The monad, M-O-N-A-D. I always keep on telling people I get confused monad and nomad. The nomads are roaming around without a home. Nomad. Yeah, you are nomads. The concept of Purusha is monad. Okay, so monads are also roaming around not knowing who they are, what they are doing. So the concept of a Purusha is that it is a special monad. It is a special entity like you, me and all of us. But it is free of the contaminants which are klesha karma. So it is a specialized Purusha. Klesha karma vipaka ashayai aparamishta, beyond klesha karma vipaka ashayai aparamishta Purusha vishesha Purusha. And this is the basis of what I was saying. We are Ishwara contaminated by klesha karma. So the klesha, and what is klesha? It is the root of the karma. Klesha moola karmashaya. So ultimately, it is the eradication of the kleshas that is the most important thing we must be doing. And how do you eradicate kleshas? We have already seen Kriya Yoga. What is Kriya Yoga? Tapa, Swadhyaya and Ishwara Pranidhana. Tapa, chipping away that which is not you. Swadhyaya, trying to know what you need to chip and what you need not to chip. Don't chip off your nose, otherwise you'll become like the Sphinx without a nose in Egypt. Okay, be careful of that. Don't chip off the wrong parts. Which parts are important for you, don't chip them off. Vital organs, we call them in medicine. You need to chip away at that which is not you, the klesha karma. You have to know where to chip, when to chip, how to chip, when not to chip. Usually when not to is more important than when. What not to is more important than what. If you want to tell people how to teach yoga or therapy and all, what not to do should be taught first. What to do can always be learned. What not to do is very important because we often make the mistakes of that. Klesha karma vipaka ashaye aparamishta Purusha vishesha Ishwara. He then goes on to tell a bit more about Ishwara. He says that Ishwara tatra niratishayam sarvajna bijam, that Ishwara is having omniscience, the seed of all wisdom, knowledge, information, data, everything is there. Tatra niratishayam sarvajna bijam, the seed of omniscience lies in the Ishwara. Now what did I say? We are also Ishwara. We also have that seed of omniscience. But the problem is the klesha karma do not allow us to access that which we know. And this is the role of the guru, to shed light on that darkness so that you start to see what you already know. The guru doesn't give you new knowledge. That's a data analysis to gives you new information. Google and Wikipedia can give everything you need. Why do you need a guru? The guru sheds light on the darkness that has prevented you from seeing what you already know. That seed is lying there. Tatra niratishayam sarvajna bijam. Because Ishwara is not out there. Ishwara is here everywhere. In everyone. In everything. But we don't know it. Because of our darkness. Ajnana timirandasya jnananjana shanakaya chakshurun militam yena tasmai shri gurave namaha. We are blinded. Ajnana timirandasya. We have gone into darkness because we are blind to the reality. What is the reality? We are all Ishwara. Which means that, okay, let's put it this way. Ishwara with amnesia or potential Ishwaras. Ishwaras in the making. That's what we are. Because everything is there. It's just that we don't know where it is. It's like you're looking for your keys. Your keys are there in your house, but you don't know where they are. It's all there. But you don't know where it is. You don't know where to look. And that is why he goes on to tell us that Ishwara is a timeless principle. Purveshamapi Guru. The principle of all knowing. Gnosis. Gnosis, jnana. The root is the same. Jna. Sarvajna, bijam. So, Ishwara is Purveshamapi Guru. The Guru from the most ancient times is Ishwara. Purveshamapi Guru, which is not limited by time. Kale nanavachedat. That is what Ishwara is. Ishwara is the principle of omniscience that is timeless and is the most ancient of guides and mentors. Purveshamapi Guru Kale nanavachedat. How do you access that Ishwara? How do you bring that Ishwara consciousness, that resplendent Ishwara consciousness into your manifestation? Well, Patanjali gives us a technique. He gives us a clue. He says that Ishwara, that pure consciousness, what is the vibration of that pure consciousness? Tasya vachakah pranavah. The Pranava. Om. That Pranava Mahamantra. The Pranava is the vibration that we can make. Tasya vachakah. Because the Ishwara consciousness is pure consciousness, it is beyond light and sound. So Ishwara is not sitting there going Om, 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 Om. You have all these guys who share videos that the universe is chanting Om. It's a nice conjecture, okay? The vibration of Ishwara is beyond anything we can say or hear because our senses are very limited. The spectrum of our senses is, as human beings, we have the lowest spectrum of senses. So many animals can perceive the sensory world in such a more refined, better way. We are sensory deprived as a species. We are sensory deprived. So, this idea that, oh, God is sitting there making the sound Om and I'm going to say Om. Well, not really. The vibration is beyond anything. It is beyond the gunas. Nirguna Parabrahma Swarupa Gama Gama Bhuta Prapancharahita. Nirguna. Beyond the gunas. So it's not that Ishwara sitting there chanting Om or there's a background music of Om, Om, Om as Ishwara sits there. It's nice for a dance drama, stage play. What it means is we as an individual can make a sound, audible sound, Vachakaha. We make Vachakaha. What is that Vachakaha that can be made? What is the sound that can be uttered that will resonate at the level of Ishwara? It's like my old analogy. There's a water body, a lake, you throw a stone into it, it goes plonk. It goes plonk. The stone you throw, plonk, plonk. And then what happens? The ripples start. The plonking of the stone starts the ripples that go from gross to subtle, to subtle, to subtle, to causal. From stula to sukshma to karana. The plonking of the stone sets up the ripple effect. The chanting of the Pranava, is the plonking of the stone. It sets up the ripple effect that enables us to connect to the Ishwara consciousness. And this is why in Swamiji's teachings, in the Gitananda Rishi culture, Parampara, the importance placed on the Pranava Pranayama, where we use the Akaranada, the Ukaranada, O, the Makaranada, and bring it together as the Omkaranada. Bringing it all together, all the pieces coming together, defragmenting your drive so that you become whole once again. Ishwara. So Ishwara is a Vishesha Purusha beyond Klesha Karma. In Ishwara resides the seed of omniscience. That Ishwara is the timeless guide who is never limited and is constantly sharing. Sharing is caring is the motto of Ishwara also, not just mine. Caring and sharing in a loving, compassionate manner. And through the Pranava sadhana, we can start to connect our consciousness. And that Pranava sadhana must be done. Tad japaha tadartha bhavanam. Understanding the meaning, the artha, and the feeling, bhavana. That repeated utterance of the Om, Om, that repeated utterance of the Om, 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 is not just a japa, but it is a japa that is powered by the understanding of artha and the feeling. The head which understands, the heart that feels, both have to work in synchrony. The head and the heart are working together in synchrony as you chant the japa of the Pranava that enables you to connect to the Ishwara. That Ishwara, we want Pranidhana. We want to be able to give over. And this is why Swamiji used to often say the term Ishwara can often mean in Indian culture a particular deity. So it starts to get a religious sort of flavor. And Swamiji very clearly understood that Patanjali is not talking of a religious godhead, but of pure consciousness. And hence Swamiji used to often say, this is Atman Pranidhana. Ishvara as Atman, that Paramatma. So here you find that linking that goes between the Sankhya Yoga philosophy and the Vedantic philosophy coming in. Atman Pranidhana, and then Swamiji used to say, in fact, it is even beyond that. It is Atman Prasadanam. It is the capacity for us to receive with humility, grace, and gratitude that which is given to us by the highest self, and we receive it without complaints. Atman Prasadanam. When you go to a temple, you are given prasad. Well, you have to accept it and take it home. If it's food, eat it. If it's flowers, use it. Whatever. You don't say, hey, give me more. Nowadays, people do that. When we go to the temple, we take a coconut, they break it. We are given, a piece of the coconut. You don't say, hey, I brought one full coconut, give me that full coconut. What is given, you accept. That is the concept of prasadam. Prasadam is when you accept with gratitude that which is given by the divine, by the universe, by the cosmos. It is the acceptance with gratitude. It is the grateful acceptance. There's reverence, there's acceptance, there's gratitude, there's humility. All of that is there. Atman Prasadanam, Ishwara Pranidhana. When life gives us something, can we stop complaining? We are always complaining about life. That is the antithesis of Ishwara Pranidhana. It's interesting. I never planned it this way, but this is coming around the Thanksgiving weekend in North America. And this is not just a time you send someone a thank you card because that's what's done. Can that gratitude, that thankfulness, become part and parcel of every moment of your conscious living? That is Ishwara Pranidhana. Where we start to feel gratitude in our every cell. Our every breath is filled with gratitude. Every thought is filled with gratitude. Because from gratitude comes the next step, which is seva, which is where you start to give back. If you don't feel gratitude, you can never give back. And that is why for me, Ishwara Pranidhana embodies the spirit of humility, acceptance, receiving with grace, and giving back with gratitude. All of this comes into Ishwara Pranidhana, because Ishwara Pranidhana, when you live it, you are naturally going to be in a state of samadhi. Because what happens is you elevate your consciousness out of the mundane, negative consciousness, which is always looking at what we don't have. The deficiency mindset. We are moving from a deficiency mindset to a mindset of abundance. Ishwara Pranidhana is the movement, a conscious movement from deficiency mindset to abundance mindset, where we realize we have been given a life. What more do we want? Swamiji used to often say, he said, people think life owes them everything. He said, life owes you nothing. You owe life everything. That is the part of Ishwara Pranidhana, where we realize what we have been given. We realize how blessed we are to be born human. It is so important to realize that we are blessed to be born human. Can we live as human beings? So many subhuman doings are there on this planet today. Can we move from that subhuman state of ingratitude? I've never got it enough. Abhinivesha klesha will never let you have gratitude. It will say, oh, I deserve it. Huh? That privileged attitude? Seriously, filled with abhinivesha. I am here, so give me it all. You have to earn it, okay? That's what the divine says. The divine says you have to earn it. How do you earn it? By your mindful self-effort. Purushartha. That effort that is done in a spirit of tapasya, done with mindfulness of swadhyaya. And after you have done your best, you say, I have done my best. The ball's in your court, universe. The ball's in your court, universe. That is that stage where you have done your best. We are not caught on the same spirit of the Bhagavad Gita, Nishkama Karma. Karmanye vadikaraste ma paleshu kadachana ma karma palahetur burma te sangosta akarmani. Do what you are doing for the sake of doing, not for the sake of the fruits of action. And just because you are not attached to the fruits of action, don't lapse into inaction. All of this is that spirit, that beautiful spirit of Ishwara Pranidhana in Bhakti Yoga. And Ishwara Pranidhana is basically Bhakti Yoga. In its fullness, Atma Nivedanam is a concept in Bhakti Yoga. Atma Nivedanam. Where everything is a Naivedyam to the Atma. That's where Swamiji uses that concept, Atman Prasadanam, as an equivalent of Ishwara Pranidhana. Atman Prasadanam. Atma Nivedanam is one of the concepts of Bhakti Nava Anga and the concept of Bhakti Yoga. Now, Bhakti Yoga doesn't just mean singing Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, or Om Namah Shivaya. That is nice. That's very important. What is Bhakti Yoga? Bhakti Yoga is when you can see the divine in everything. The divine in everything. And you say everything in the divine. When every part of life is uplifted by the divine spark. The divine spark that is there every place. You start to perceive it. You elevate your consciousness. See, as long as you're limited, what will I get? What will I get? I will do it. Me. Your consciousness is limited. And this is why what we need to do, we need to grow out of that. Moving from that I to the we. As they say, illness becomes wellness. Meanness becomes wellness when we move from this limited nature. What's in it for me? Rather than this, what's in it for me? May we all grow together. May we all glow together. Abundance. Ishwara Pranidhana for me signifies the abundance of samadhi. Samadhi is a state of perfect health. Samadhi is a state where your physiological equilibrium, yes, ICYER, your physiological equilibrium, homeostasis, mental equilibrium, equanimity, your capacity to be inclusive, your capacity to see yourself in others, your capacity to treat others as you wish to be treated, and then realize at one point there is no other. We are all one. That is the growth. That is the growth of Ishwara Pranidhana. And that is why Ishwara Pranidhana enables us to come into that state of samadhi, where that highest consciousness in us, are the same. Thank you so much for being with me as I go on my Saturday morning rambles. There used to be a book called Rambles in Vedanta. It was a nice book with a lot of stories. Rambles in Vedanta. I remember as a kid reading it. I think many of my Saturday mornings are just my rambling. So thank you for being with me for these Saturday mornings. 72 weeks, we have been able to do it. We have come through so many topics, and in recent times, gone through all the 5 yama, the 5 niyama. Let's see what comes up next week, what suggestion the universe gives me, because we'll keep doing this as long as we can. Thank you for being part of my life. Thank you for being part of my yoga family, my Vishwa Yoga Parivar, worldwide yoga family. Truly, you being on the other side of the screen enables me to share, to care, to love more. Kritagnyata, gratitude, is such a high attitude. Om Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu Sarve Janaha Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shantihi Shantihi Shantihi. Om. Thank you so much. And before I end, just reminding you, next week we start our Nada Yoga course, Sangeeta and myself. So look on our Facebook pages, you will see the information. Looking forward to a wonderful time exploring the concept of Nada Yoga within the Gita Ananda Rishi culture, Parampara, and those beautiful teachings that are life transforming.